What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So today we are going to just give you guys another market update covering Bitcoin, Ethereum. We're going to talk about the WLFI release that I believe is today being Sunday, of course. I did not post Saturday or Friday. That is completely on me. First week of school, schedule's pretty busy, but we'll get into that routine of daily posting. We just got to keep it consistent. So the first thing we're going to look at, like I said, is Bitcoin, then Ethereum. Then we'll talk about the World Liberty Financial Token. Then we'll get into a suggested coin named AeroBud. And with all that being said, let's jump into it. So first of all, where are we sitting with Bitcoin since we last talked about it? So we last talked about Bitcoin around this price point in, I believe, the 25th, 24th, maybe a little after that. I don't honestly remember. But as you can see, from that point, we were talking how clearly you can see that we were in bearish market structure. And a quick recap of what bearish market structure is simply when we're creating a series of lower highs and lower lows. So we had our last high, our last previous all-time high right here, or our last all-time high here, sorry, followed by a lower low, and then a lower high, lower low, lower high, to where it looks like we're forming another lower low. So what I'm seeing from here is that we form this lower low, come up, form a lower high, and just continue this pattern until it breaks. Once we get a high that is higher than the previous one, so here's our previous high. Once we get something that is higher than this, then that flips us back into bullish structure and we can continue forward. Now, one potential scenario, does this mean that it's going to happen? Not whatsoever. Is that we come down to this identified demand zone. I have talked about demand zones in the previous video, so you can understand what those are. I'm not going to go over them again, but we've seen, of course, many different examples where we've tapped upon demand zones before rallying up higher. There was a demand zone right here on the lower time frames, the 4 hour and 1 hour, that we tapped off of right here. So around the 112K, it tapped the top of the demand zone before coming up. So you can see that. So what we could see is we come tap this demand zone that I've identified before moving back up, or we maybe go ahead and just from right here go up and form a new high above this previous one, flipping back into bullish structure. It all depends on what we see next, but again, there's not like one scenario that's bound to happen. There's multiple scenarios that could happen. We just have to be patient for those. And this is strictly off of a technical analysis perspective. As far as EMAs go, I do look at those. We are currently trading below the 100-day EMA. The 200-day EMA we have not approached yet, and this is around 104K. As you can see, the higher length of the EMA's exponential moving averages in terms of time length. So the 200-day is going to be a lot more strong and respected than that of the 100-day and so on. So we have the 50-day EMA, the 100-day EMA, as well as now the 200-day EMA. So what would be concerning is if we close below the 200-day EMA and reject off of it, because as you have seen, this entire run pretty much ever since around 2023, or even before that, the beginning of 2023, we have essentially been trading above the 200-day EMA up until this point where we still are. When we flipped into our bear market in 2021, we traded below the 200-day EMA. As you can see, we were trading below the 200-day EMA the entire time. The 200-day EMA was higher than the 100-day EMA and the 50-day EMA, and then that flipped to where we are currently sitting with the 50-day EMA, the highest, followed by the 100-day, followed by the 200-day EMA. So those are still being respected, as you can see, so nothing significant to worry about as far as EMAs go. And with all that being said, let's move to ETH. We're just doing quick little touches here. ETH specifically, on the 1 day time frame, obviously has shown resistance after just creating a new all-time high. I think that's to be expected. Why? Because, well, We just hit a new all-time high. We're trading high above the 50-day EMA or the 200-day EMA, well above the 100-day EMA, and decently above the 50-day EMA. Nothing to be concerned about there. And it looks like we still have more room to go. I expected a cool off after just creating a new all-time high. But what would be really nice to see is if we can go push above $5,000 per ETH. That's going to be a significant level. That's going to be a crazy level if we can hit for the overall market. Could give a lot more strength into buyers, a lot more buying interest into not only ETH, but altcoins as well, as that is a pretty big milestone. ETH hitting 5K is a very big milestone, and if it somehow hits 10K this year, which is a very, very small chance in my opinion, that would be insane. But 5K, of course, is the closest target. We almost came close to that in the 24th of August. But we, of course, faced a little bit of resistance there. As like I've explained, 5K ETH being a psychological resistance level, people like to sell at round hole numbers. So people who bought at $1,500, $2,500 ETH, looking at 5K as a round hole number for them to sell most of their bag at is definitely something that a lot of people have taken into consideration. And simply put, if I'm a holder of ETH who bought in at $1,500 per Ethereum, and I know a lot of people are expecting that there will be a sell-off at 5K per ETH, because I understand how psychological numbers work in trading, then I myself am going to plan on selling at 5K too, because I don't want to be dumped on. And that in its own creates a sell-off at 5K, if you understood what I just said there. So seeing a little bit of a sell-off does not surprise me whatsoever, but I still think we are looking pretty strong as long as we continue to push up here. On the 4-hour time frame, if we go take a look, you can see we are still trading above the 200-day EMA. We kind of fell below the 100-day EMA, but we've just since recovered that, as well as a 50-day EMA. You can see we were clearly in bearish structure. Why? Because we had lower lows, lower highs, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then this, I don't think would be a flip. You could consider this a high, and you consider this a higher low. This could be a higher high in theory, and then we continue to push up from here. So we'll have to see. Again, I'm using just basic technical analysis viewpoints, but overall market structure looks to be as normal as I would expect it to be. We just have to, again, just let price action develop. We need more data, or I at least need more data to really predict what will happen next with ETH. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the World Liberty Fi exchange listing that I guess goes out tomorrow, if I'm correct. September 1st, 2025, we will have the World Liberty Financial Exchange listing. Now, I personally think that, and this guy kind of sums up what I think could happen with this token. I'm bullish on World Liberty Fi. This one will suck the hell out of the market's liquidity, massive dumps for all altcoins. I think that this is definitely a possibility. Why? Because look what happened in spring when the Trump coin launched, as well as Melania coin. This is a coin that is attached to the President of the United States in a certain shape or form. So it's almost expected that we're going to see something similar to what we see with Trump, with a lot of liquidity flowing out of a lot of other coins to go flow into a token of this nature. However, we might have learned from that because we've had all these launches. We don't really want to repeat that again because of what it did to the markets short term. So this one's up in the air for me. Would I personally invest in this? No, I just wouldn't. But I don't know what's going to do to the entire market. It really depends on the amount of liquidity that's actually going to flow into this token. If it's as we saw with the Trump coin, then this could be pretty bad. So, but like I said, with that happening at the time it did, and just it being literally just the Trump coin, this is based off of a company, although there is relation to Donald Trump, I don't know if it will have the same effect or even too big of an effect to even worry about. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. I'll keep you guys updated on that. And let's move on. We're just going to get straight into the coin that one of you guys recommended, AeroBud. Now, first of all, like I had said, we are reviewing a coin that you guys mention every single day. If there is one mentioned, if there is not one mentioned, then I will simply just not talk about a token, or I might talk about a video idea that, you know, a token that I'm genuinely interested, that I would think you guys would want to know. Now, a little background on AeroBud. I had known about AeroBud ever since I think November or October of 2024. And I initially actually bought in at around the level we currently are sitting, but I actually bought around November, like around this level of November. And we rose all the way to, what was it, 6 cents? So around a 10x, kind of what we saw with ski. So I was in ski when I caught the 10x there. So, you know, it was whatever one I had money in, it wouldn't have mattered because it would have been the same exact thing. But AeroBud specifically, when I first was reading into the project, it does stuff with actual animal shelters, which I think is really cool. It's a really cool concept. As you guys can see, there's nonprofits helping animals with the help of our nonprofits and community. So it is a really cool token that at first, when I first got into the token, I was a little concerned about some of the tokenomics, but also just the project details. I mean, it was a new coin where we had other similar launches that not anything like this, but anyways, I got concerned with it, so I kind of just took a step out of it and focused more towards, for my meme coin, for ski, and then just kind of forgot about AeroBud. But 6K followers, it's got Dope Oxide, he's pretty big on X, so decent backing. But I mean, what I will have to say is the fact that they're still very active on X, like that's one thing I look for in meme coins. If they're still very active on X, keeping that community alive. But this one specifically dealing with helping, you know, actual animals, I think this is like one of the coolest concepts ever. I love the artistic style here. I think this is a coin that a lot of people can get around. The only thing that we need to see for this project to flourish, and this goes for just any meme coin, just is for the overall market to do very well. Emphasis on meme coins doing very well. We've seen dog meme coins, I mean Dogecoin for example, at around 20 cents compared to it being around 50 cents in that of December of 2024 when ETH was lower than it currently is. So that is concerning to say the least short term. That could easily change within the next couple of months. And if it does, these projects that are like this one is very unique. And again, the fact that it's actually taking care of, if it's doing what it says, I'm not looking too far into this one. Again, we're doing just brief glimpses of these coins, but if it's doing what it's promising, then this one is very unique. And I do like this a lot. Why? Because people like investing into things that they feel that they're making an impact. So not only could you have a very good return on your investment, but the fact that you are potentially helping, like AeroBud.org, let's take a look at it right now. The fact that you're potentially going and helping those like dogs. People have a lot of emotional pull on dogs. You guys can see the community. This is amazing, by the way. Like, okay, this is amazing. Just from the website presentation. Beautiful website presentation. The based buds, okay, so this is a NFT collection coming out as well. There's a game, there's merch. So this is really cool. I'm not gonna lie. This is me looking into this. Yeah, it looks very nice. And I would say, again, if we look at price, it's nowhere near its previous all-time high, but a lot of these lower cap meme coins are down. Here's what I'll say about AeroBud. I'm gonna give it just off of what I've seen today and just what I've known about it, I'm going to give AeroBud a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10 on my personal list. I personally would buy this, not financial advice. Will I buy this? I might if I want some more meme coin allocation. Though my biggest and most favorite chain to invest in is Base. It's always been Base, and I really do like AeroBud. Why? So website presentation. making something that looks high quality in terms of the content that it provides. If you look on the X account, there's frequent engaging content that members of the community who own and hold the coin can engage in. The website's very professional, very high quality, like I said, multiple different income streams, high promise to taking care of, an emotional pull of helping those in need, specifically dogs. People have dogs, they feel emotional towards dogs, so it's pulling off that emotion as well. It's a dog token. We all know the crypto market loves dog tokens. It's on Base, which is increasingly becoming more and more easy to access. It could also get a listing. It could get a Coinbase listing where we see AeroBud being available on that of Coinbase. If it not already is, I don't think it's on Coinbase. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're just doing a glimpse look, but overall, I do really like this project. It is doing a lot of nice things. It's an evergreen token. All the time, people are going to want to have a dog token that, again, you're participating in taking care of, like dog shelters and stuff like that, compared to other dog tokens where it's just really not much attached to it besides it just being a dog token. This one specifically having that backing of actually going and supporting animal shelters is definitely cool to see. But nonetheless, a great coin that I think, again, doesn't have very high risk. Of course it does, but if I was looking to get more meme coin exposure, specifically on Base, I would look to at least have a little bit of AeroBud, assuming I saw Q4 being good within the crypto market. And so yeah, I really do like this one. Looks really cool. Now, Ski Mask Dog, I do believe did something with animal shelters as well. So Ski Mask Dog also is very active within their own community. Very active all the time that I've seen on X. Continuously, I've always loved that. Again, what I say about just any meme coin, as long as the community is kept active and engaged, then that meme coin has a higher probability of succeeding in the long run. So we're gonna have to see how these play out. Again, the overall market just needs a shift where altcoins are getting more attention flown into them. We need these meme coins to get more attention flown into them, Coinbase listings, and I think we'd be all set. With all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Quick little rundown for you guys. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys later.